Over the medium and long term, I would expect governments to see energy very differently, see it more as a strategic asset, and make sure we are investing in it for the long haul to make sure there is resilience and energy security. Interestingly, after the 1970s, and some of you may remember this, that's when the International Energy Agency got set up with the strategic stockpiles, which has come in handy a little bit during this crisis. And even North Sea and some of the other basins got developed post that crisis. Again, we need to make sure we don't forget the lessons and make sure we are investing in it for the long haul and have that fiscal and policy setting durability for those investments to happen, because energy security doesn't happen overnight. I think the proponents of tax present a very incomplete view, looking at a very narrow slice of time and arguing for those taxes. The true test of whether a tax setting is really working, you have to look at whether it is fundamentally incentivizing investors to develop that resource. If you don't develop the resource, there is no foundation for the benefits that's going to accrue back to the nation. So we have to remember that. I'm just going to use the Gorgon development as an example, which is to date the single largest resource development Australia has seen in the gas sector. The first well in Gorgon was drilled in the 1970s, nearly 50 years ago. And these exploration wells today cost, let's call it $100 to $200 million in today's dollars. And as many of you probably know, the exploration is not a guaranteed success. It has a significant amount of risk. And we were in exploration phase for nearly 3 decades. And then we took the final investment decision. And between the 2 projects that we have, the joint venture partners spent nearly $80 billion. And we finally turned profitability in 2017, 2018. I say this because imagine that long sweep of time where the investors have to put in capital, take on the risk, and imagine all the changes that has happened. The market risk, the consumer behavior, technology, geopolitics. And just as a fun fact, Melinda, when we first looked at Gorgon development, we were supposed to export gas to California because US was supposed to be short on gas. This is pre-shale and tight revolution. And now US is one of the larger exporters of LNG, competing with Australia into supplying for Asia. So a lot of things change. And the tax setting that we have in Australia has encouraged investors like us to put in that capital and take on that risk. And once we turn profitable, it is also yielding the dividends back to the nation in terms of tax payments. We are number 4 taxpayer in the country last year and the last 2 years running. And we have paid $16 billion in tax since 2021. And the gas industry is number 2 with nearly $22 billion in tax payment last year. And also tax doesn't tell the whole story of the benefit, right? We have created a lot of jobs through construction, tens of thousands of jobs. And annually, I think the job count for the gas industry is more than 200,000. And in Western Australia, we actually supply half of the gas into mining industry. So there's also secondary benefits that come from the gas industry. So anyway, I feel like today we live in a world where we want to have debates in a TikTok time frame, not in the holistic, let's sit down and have a holistic debate. But I realize that's the world we live in. In terms of gas reservation, I will tell you, to your point, I think the gas reservation has been a condition that we knew going into our investments in Western Australia, and that has worked brilliantly, keeping the local market well supplied. And even with this huge market disruption in gas, the prices in Australia have remained fairly stable. For East Coast, the biggest thing is we absolutely support a prospective reservation policy. The more important thing is how do we create more supply? You could have 50% of domestic gas reservation, but if the supply isn't there, it's not going to mean much to the local energy security. So we need to be really focused on creating more supply.